Hi! I wanted to do a video on Monroe piercings because when I was looking for information on it, there was a lot of information but in a lot of different videos, so I wanted to make one video that answered all my questions and hopefully some of yours. So, first thing most people want to know about is pain tolerance, or well, how much it hurts. It depends on your pain tolerance, or some people call it your pain threshold. Mine is very high. I think that I don't feel like pain hurts me that much, and it's not that scary to me. Some people get really nervous, and I'm just not scared of it. I just see it as something that we all experience. So, how much it's gonna hurt all depends on your pain threshold. But for me, it really didn't hurt at all. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say like a 2. It hurts me more to stub my toe. So the second thing I really wanted to know about is where I should get it done. So obviously I can't tell you exactly where to go, but I can tell you what to look for. You definitely want to go to a legitimate place. Don't get it done by like someone in a garage or something. Go to either a tattoo shop or a place specifically for piercings, like sometimes it's called a parlor. I went to a place in the mall, not Piercing Pagoda, not Claire's or Icing. It was like a specific place for body piercings. So you want to go somewhere where the person is licensed, it's clean, everything is sanitized. You want to look for like a certificate on the wall that says they can pierce, and that they have experience. The guy that I went to had like 13 years of experience, and I had a lot of friends go there, so I thought that was a good place. How they do it is when you go in, you smile, and they pick, the piercer will use like a felt tip special piercing marker to make a dot where you want it. They have to do it pretty like centered or kind of high up, because you don't want it too low so it's like hitting your gums or your teeth or anything. I believe Monroe's, I didn't look while he did it, but I believe they go from the inside out with the needle, and they do it at an angle so that when you smile it's completely straight. They use a hollow needle, and I think he pierced me with an 18 gauge, but they might use a 16 gauge. When you first get it pierced, they're gonna put in a swell bar. It should be surgical steel and have no nickel in it, because some people can be allergic to nickel. Or they might use a Bioplast or a Bioflex little labret stud. Mine has a little rhinestone on it. This is probably the smallest you can get. They have larger ones, but I have a small face, so I got a small one. Your swell bar is gonna be twice the thickness of your lip. So I had to keep mine in for 2 weeks. Some people keep it in for 4 for the entire healing process, but I kept mine in for 2. And you go back to your piercer and you have it changed to a shorter one, so it's not sticking out. I believe a swell bar is something like 5/8 of an inch. I don't know. For cleaning, my piercer actually told me to do hydrogen peroxide, but I don't recommend that, because through using that, even though it kills germs, things like hydrogen peroxide and alcohol and like antiseptic type things kill the skin cells that are trying to regrow, so it delays the healing process. What I used was sometimes antibacterial soap. They recommend like Dial fragrance free, like no moisturizers, no anything in it, just regular plain antibacterial soap, once or twice a day. I found that kind of irritated my skin, so I have very sensitive skin, so I stopped doing that after a while. You kind of just have to judge on how well it's healing, and you don't want to irritate it or over dry it. You don't want to over clean it, but you also want to make sure you keep it very clean. So I started using sea salt soaks to clean the crusties off and just to keep it dried out. You don't want to over dry it, but you want to keep the piercing. The sea salt dries it out so that bacteria can't grow, because bacteria grows in moist places. So I would do a sea salt soak 2 to 3 times a day probably. I just use a little Q-tip and just go around it, dip it in. Make sure you always clean your hands. Keep them very, very clean all the time, especially when you're cleaning it. And don't use a towel to dry your hands, because then you're just putting more bacteria on them. So use a paper towel, and then use a clean Q-tip or cotton ball, or whatever you want to use every time. Dip it in the sea salt water or saline solution. You can make it yourself. Sorry, I'm saying so much. It can be, I think it's 8 ounces of water, hot water, and then you use like a 1/4 tablespoon of salt water. Some people say a full tablespoon, some people say only a teaspoon. It really depends. You don't want it to be too salty. If you taste it, it shouldn't be saltier than a potato chip. So that's how you'll know if it's too salty, because you don't want to over dry it. But sea salt's really good for healing. You can also get H2 Ocean. I got that at Hot Topic for $15, and I really don't think it's worth the money. I don't like that it's cold. I don't like how much it uses when you spray it. It's like a big spray, and I don't need that much. So I usually just put a Q-tip to the nozzle and just do a little tiny spray, and then use the Q-tip. But I don't think it's worth the money. You can make your own. You can buy like saline, like contact solution, or like the stuff that you spray in your nose when you're sick, like Air, AYR. You can use that. Don't use it if you use it when you're sick. And the healing process is approximately 6 weeks. Some people heal in 4, some people heal in 8. Didn't really hurt me. Healed pretty well. Watch out for infection. Just keep it clean. You should be good. Hypertrophic scarring is something that can happen, and it's when scar tissue builds up around your piercing. Not to be confused with keloids. Keloids aren't common on your face, so it could be hypertrophic scarring if you're experiencing like a ring around it. You can use tea tree oil for that, but usually if you just like massage it, it'll dissipate on its own. And then also piercing boils. It's just a red kind of bump around your piercing. If you get that, make sure you keep it really clean, and it should go away on its own. I got that and it just went away. It wasn't an infection. If you do get infected, keep it really, really clean. Maybe go to your doctor. But mainly, it's a good piercing. I really like it. I think it's cute, and it was easy to care for. So I hope this answered everyone's questions.